Welcome to another episode of Luna Nectar Universe. We're here today with Sashi McLean Magbanwa. She's the creative genius behind Formation Studio. So this is a dance studio where they really concentrate not only on choreography, but mostly on the beats and how you feel in your body. So thank you for being here, Sashi.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, guys.
So Sashi, we would like to ask our guests to sign in by telling us their rising, moon, and sun sign. So what are yours?
So my sun sign is Scorpio, my rising sign is Pisces, and my moon sign is Cancer. And I would say that I am all of those signs to a T.
A lot of water.
A lot of water. Oh yeah, Scorpio is also a water. So you're all water.
So like super feeling, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Intuitive.
Yeah, intuitive. Yeah, very, very sensitive.
Yes, all of those things. All of those things for sure. Oh man.
So Sashi, you have a really interesting story of how you first started teaching dance classes, which is why you started the studio. It's a really inspiring one. So do you want to share with us your personal journey and how you started all this?
Yeah, so I've never taught our classes, but dance has always been or became a love of mine. So I used to do competitive cheerleading really intensely in college days and high school. And then I had an injury and was looking for another outlet. So dance became what pulled me in. I love the performance element of cheerleading. And so I think that naturally made me gravitate towards dance. And it was also seemed a little less abusive to your body in the way that I was going to pursue it at that time. So I started dancing just recreationally, dropping classes, mostly like hip hop and whatnot. And I became really interested in it. I started trying different styles and finding out what challenged me and what motivated me within those kinds of movements. And honestly, it had that element of when you're doing choreography together in a room, it had that team element to it that I really loved from my cheerleading days. So when I stopped dancing after some time, like life, just happened and it was only a recreational activity of mine. So it came back into my life when my little sister Chantel passed away. She was 17 and she died in a car accident on Thanksgiving in 2014. And so that was the first loss and trauma that I'd ever really experienced like that. So in my grieving process, I saw a friend teaching a dance class and it was to a Beyonce song. So I was like, that looked fun. And I had just been on the couch watching Grey's Anatomy and eating barbecue potato chips for several weeks at that point. So I thought that I would go to this class. And even though I had danced before, when I went in, it was just like completely shocking to me how my body felt and how my mind felt. I was just so consumed with the music and the movement and concentrating on trying to learn the choreography that I had a break from my own head, and it was a pause on all the grief that I was going through. So it was really like the first experience that I had as a really therapeutic outlet for me in my grief. So I wanted to do it again, and I also only wanted to do it to Beyonce songs. So naturally at that time, that's what I wanted. And my husband encouraged me to just coordinate it for myself because I had danced before, and so I knew some instructors and whatnot. So I thought I would just drag some girlfriends with me to come dance to Beyonce songs, but ultimately I put it online and people really responded to it. We were the only program at the time. Well, I wouldn't even consider myself a really well thought out program, but when I put it out there, it was just for fun. It wasn't for performance. It was really about feeling good, and because of what I wanted out of it, which was purely just that emotional, mental, release and outlet. It was really about that. And so other people, other women, other men really wanted to partake as well. So that's kind of where everything started.
Thank you for sharing that. It's such a, I'm sure it's not easy to kind of share that. It's such a personal story, but I think it's so inspiring that you were able to create something, so amazing out of a personal trauma.
Yeah. It's kind of my way of honoring my sister. She was very not a dancer at all. She was a super tough rugby player, and amazing at her sports. But in my way, it's fun. I like to mention her, and I like being able to say her name, and it's nice to bring it up in these ways. So it's less painful as time goes on too to say it. But yeah, it's nice to share.
Well, you started RSVP 33 before you opened Formation Studio, which, as I think you mentioned, they were just group classes meant to kind of be fun, and you were conducting them out of a rented studio space. So, what made you decide to finally open up your own dance studio, which is like this beautiful 2,500 square foot space? Like it's a big commitment to have a permanent space. So, what made you decide to kind of make that leap?
Well, my husband and I had just gotten married, and we were thinking about what direction we wanted to take life. And it was Thanksgiving weekend. I had given myself an extra day because it's that anniversary weekend. So I took the dog out for a late morning walk, and honestly, it was such a vivid moment of me, like standing in the sun. He was an older dog, so we were going real slow. And it just came to me that maybe the next endeavor for us was to open up a studio and kind of take the business and take this entrepreneurial journey as our next challenge and our next phase in life. So I went upstairs, and he was super on board. So that's kind of what prompted us to start moving in that direction.
How long were you doing RSVP 33 for before you opened Formation?
We were doing it as a side kind of hustle for about 4 years. Yeah. And then from that last year, we opened, that fifth year, we went into opening Formation.
Amazing.
And did you have a main job you were doing at the time?
Yes. So this entire time up until, and even 6 months into opening the studio, I worked a full-time job at Tourism Vancouver. So I did marketing and communications mostly. And I really loved my job. It was so fun. And while it was like very demanding in some ways and required a lot of outside of office hours work, it was something that I really enjoyed. So it wasn't the story of hating your job and wanting to escape it. I really enjoyed what it provided me, and the way that I got to work, and the teams that I got to work in, and the people I connected with. So I was happy to do both for a long time, though it was demanding.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it hard to juggle the two? Like, did you have to kind of do your day job and then do this in the evening and the weekend? And also the other question is, did you find that, were there any skills that were transferable from your day job?
Oh, that's a great question. So to the first one, yes, it was super demanding. I became really good for the business, or for RSVP 33 at the time. I became really good at prioritizing only what would move things forward, because I had such a limited amount of time, whether that be like mornings, my lunch break, or the evenings when I wasn't actually in class. I would not spend time on things that weren't moving the business forward. So it gave me really good perspective on prioritizing. But it did take a toll on me. With that said, it was hard. And to the second part of your question, the things that were transferable, so many of the skills that I learned or that I exercised within my marketing and communications background were applicable to the studio. So it was even beneficial to be in a more corporate environment and see some processes and things that worked or didn't work because of those ways, and how we implement those systems into our own business. So absolutely, like, there's so much to learn in any avenue. And I was really happy that because RSVP could be whatever I wanted it to be, I was able to implement and inject whatever it was that I really enjoyed into this project.
Taking all the good parts out of it and amalgamating it all into your studio.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a bit more about the style of dance and the classes taught here?
Yeah.
For example, can anyone take part in them? Like, say somebody has 2 left feet, or they're not very physically active?
I would say that our studio or our programs are completely designed for the person who is self-admittedly has 2 left feet, or
Such as myself.
Yeah.
No, I do have to say that I've been to a lot of your classes, and I don't feel self-conscious about it. I think it's just the way that it's set up. Like, the lighting is quite dark, and like, even if I'm in the first row and I'm like staring at myself in the mirror, I don't feel self-conscious about it. Like, I don't feel like, and I think the energy in the room is like really collaborative and people are really there for fun, to have fun, and not like you're competing against each other.
That's
So it's just the way that, I have to say, just from
I love that. That's exactly what we want for people to feel, because it's really about that. It's about feeling good and having fun. And so whether you're new or whether you're new to dance or new to movement, it's a space that we wanted to be very approachable, regardless of your background. So the classes, Freedom, it's a cardio dance party. So it's all about following the instructor. You don't need to memorize anything. And for someone who's never danced before, it's like the perfect way to kind of ease themselves in. We also do a lot more repetition in that class. So you have the chance to kind of make those mind-body connections. And people have to also remember that if you've never danced before, like, you're really building a brand new like movement connection in your body. And so just like, I don't know, if you've never hit a baseball before, it takes some time to be able to develop that. And I think as women, especially, you can be quick to judge yourself. And that's not what we want here. So we always say it's a judgment-free zone, from yourself as much as it is from other people. Our other classes are Power, which is a beat-based strength and conditioning class. So all of the movements, whether they be squats or bicep curls, are all to the beat of the music. And we do incorporate like light choreography into that to kind of keep things interesting and make things fun and interject a little bit of dance flavor. And then Presence is the class that we started with RSVP 33. So that's the choreography-based class. And we make it so approachable for new dancers to join it, even by splitting the routine in over 2 weeks. So people have a chance to be introduced to some movement, let it settle into their body, and then the next week they can come back and be like, yeah, I'm ready to take this on again and add on a little bit more. So we've really made everything so that people who are new to dance or just want to do it for fun can have the best time.
That's really cool. Because, I used to go to classes at another studio, dance classes, and I'm not the best at picking up choreography. So I always feel intimidated.
It totally can be intimidating. And so we try to keep it really light. We laugh a lot in class. We make a really open forum and dialogue between the instructors and the clients, and keep things fun.
Who creates the routines, and how often do you guys kind of switch things up?
The routines we collaborate on as a team. So all of the instructors who are teaching them will also create some routines, and we do new routines every 2 weeks. So it's cool too, because now that we have the studio, there are some clients who maybe they do struggle with choreography a little bit more. So they'll do part one 2 times, and then they'll do part 2 times. So like they'll really be able to have a chance to feel so good. So when they're dancing it out that last time, like you can feel the music, you can feel really good. It's not about just stressing yourself out in an hour and trying to do what the instructor's doing. It's like allowing yourself to have that moment of channeling the tone of the music and what the emotion is that you'd want to connect with there. So people can make their own challenges within that, or whether if they're more advanced, sometimes you just come to part 2 and then you learn all the choreography at once, and that can work for some people as well.
And you guys have a wicked playlist, I have to say. It's like the perfect mix between, the top hits from the 90s to the 2000s to current hits. Who curates your playlist, and where can we find it?
I'm so glad you love our music. I have to give the credit to mostly Roman. He does a lot of that. So Roman's my husband. He does a lot of our music selection. Our team also contributes, and all of it's available on Spotify as well. So you can follow our playlists there.
Formation Studio.
Formation.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's check it out.
We will.
Yeah.
I will take credit for our stretch playlists. I always pick like really great R&B covers for stretching. So that's my contribution.
So we spotlight a lot of entrepreneurs. So can you tell us what struggles you have encountered in your journey, and what advice you would give to someone that's trying to start their own business or switch career paths?
I think the thing about the entrepreneurial journey is you're signing up to challenge yourself in ways that you probably wouldn't have found in a more traditional career path. And I think with that, it brings forward more of a personal evolution than you would necessarily find on your own. So for me, since the beginning of this, I've just pushed myself so much harder than I think I would have had I not had this as a part of my life. Even at the beginning, it was in healing and like a very personal like a very personal way of going through my trauma. And as I evolved, the business evolved, and everything was very hand in hand. Now that it's much more of a business rather than a side project, I find myself working really hard to manage my mindset, to push through the days where you don't feel so great and things are kind of piling up on you, when COVID happens, when you have all of these challenges that take a toll on you emotionally and mentally. And I think for me, that it's a constant evolution and a constant cycle of growth of trying to find the best way for me to feel balanced and happy and fulfilled in what I'm doing while continuing to build the business forward. So for people who are starting, I think the thing that I look back at and am so thankful for is that because it was it kind of happened for me from a place of need, I let go of a lot of perfectionist expectations that I would have probably had on myself if I had intentionally been like, I want to start this. So for someone who is going through those first steps, I would say to try to let go of that. And then also to just keep moving forward. In my situation, because it was a side hustle, I had that limitation of time that I mentioned earlier. And that really made me keep the ball in the right direction, because I only had 3 hours to bang out a newsletter or to contact clients or whatever it was. So I think making sure that I think focusing on moving forward and just learning as you go is the best kind of mentality to have in those first steps. So yeah, letting go of the perfectionist expectations and just moving forward and taking those lessons as you come without judgment on yourself, and knowing that you're going to keep getting better.
Yeah, no, I think that's such great advice. And I'm sure, Mia, you can relate as well as an entrepreneur that, perfectionism is definitely something you should
Unattainable.
Yeah, hindering for sure.
Yeah, you just have to roll with the punches, whatever it takes. You kind of have to go with the flow. What I like to say, it's always the balance, striking a balance between the paradox of floating in space, but with laser focus.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I came with that.
Yeah.
My caption on my Instagram post.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask, because your business partner is your husband. So how is it working with, your business partner is also your romantic partner. So you're constantly seeing each other. How is that dynamic?
Honestly, I think it works so well for us. I don't know. I could imagine.
He's not here, so you can.
I can imagine a lot of relationships it wouldn't work well for, but we have a really good chemistry with balancing both. I don't even have that feeling of we talk about work too much or anything like that. I think because we're both moving towards the same idea for what we want our life to be as husband and wife and starting a family and whatnot. Business is just a part of that, and we're very much on the same page. And honestly, I think working together has helped elements of our romantic relationship, and elements of our romantic relationship help with the business as well. And I think we've been together for so long that we know how to fight with each other now. So whether it be a business related argument or a romantic one, we've sorted it out and know how to move forward. So
do you guys separate sort of work from home life? So when you're at home, are you still talking about work, or do you make a really big a point to kind of separate the two?
I think our separation is more so on optimized, when we're individually optimized to talk about things. So I shut down at 10:30. My phone goes on do not disturb at 9:30. So after that, I really don't like having do not bring up accounting to me or anything of the sort. That is a nightmare.
So romantic.
I know, not at 9:30 at night.
Anything after that, it's going to spiral downhill. So he knows that really well. So it's not so much, I guess, the boundaries of having work conversations over dinner. Those don't bother us. We, I think, often feel inspired by those kinds of conversations. So I think we're good at communicating it too, though. There will be days where we're chatting about things and it's okay, I don't want to hear about our team or our clients or anything, we'll put boxes around it. But for the most part, we're pretty integrated and it doesn't bother us.
It helps that this is a passion too. So I guess
know,
it doesn't really
for sure.
feel like
I
work
know.
too
Yeah.
much, right?
Exactly.
And I have to say, like the few times that I've been here, he's always in the studio. He's like sometimes even teaching, like dancing with us, and he's just really hands on. So definitely, I can tell that this is like a passion for both of you.
Absolutely. We're definitely, I think I get a lot of the attention with things, but he is a huge piece of it. Like I couldn't get through all that we do without him, especially during COVID. Like when all of that first happened, my reaction was very much like that shock. And I think that kind of what the world was going through, I was going through those same feelings, and I was very stunned and and at a standstill. And he was already like so moving forward and thinking ahead and already knew what we were going to do for our digital plans and whatnot. So like I'm so thankful we have such a good balance.
It's amazing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned COVID, which leads us to our next question. We're doing this recording in the time of like COVID is still happening, and we just kind of want to ask you, how has it impacted the business, and how have you guys sort of adapt the way that you operate to kind of cope with this new normal?
Yeah, COVID's had a huge impact on our business. Everything from the number of people we can accommodate in the studio to the number of classes we're operating, and even our procedures with cleaning and the way we interact. We used to be so filled with high fives. And so all of those kinds of elements and nuances have had a huge change. But I think, man, it's tough. Like we were 5 months old when this happened. We were just kind of hitting that momentum and feeling really good. And then everything shifted. So for me, I think the biggest challenge is, figuring out how to continue to be agile during this time, because not only are we impacted with operations, but also our clients have had huge impacts in their life, whether it be they are now unemployed, their industry is completely at a standstill, maybe they're working from home. So a huge amount of our clients would, pass by on their way into work or home. So even that commute has been eliminated. So it's totally shifted for us. And I think these kinds of spaces are so needed in some ways, but also very scary for people who rightfully so have their own precautions that they want to take for the health. So it's a really interesting and challenging time. And when I mentioned our digital program, so that was one big change that we had after COVID started. It was thankfully something that Roman had already kind of gotten the wheels turning on and had started with our team. But of course, once the studio closed, we went 100% into that and launched our digital online studio, which has been a really great element of our business. Definitely new challenges. It's a whole new beast, but something that we wanted to pursue anyway. So it was an opportunity in that case.
Do you think that transition to offering virtual classes helped you guys to kind of stay afloat throughout,
Oh, absolutely.
Because I've seen yoga studios, even iconic ones in Vancouver, that had to shut down permanently because they were not able to offer virtual classes. Like they didn't have the capability or know-how. And it's sad, but it just shows that you have to be nimble, as a business, especially as a small business.
Absolutely. I feel like Roman's skill set was so helpful in that, because his creative direction and video background, even as lucky as we were to have he had a good personal collection of equipment, because even at the very beginning of COVID, Amazon wasn't delivering, everything was sold out, you couldn't rent, it would have been so challenging even if we wanted to. So we were really lucky that we had the means to do that and the access to, and we also, again, had kind of that idea in our head already of what we wanted to create. So I think having that a couple steps ahead really just helped when COVID started. And it's been a really cool part of our business now, and I think one that we're going to lean more into as well, depending on, you never know what can happen with society moving forward, and if things take a turn with how COVID continues to impact us in our day-to-day lives. So it's really great to have that as a piece of something that we could lean into more. But yeah, excited to keep growing it and have a bigger reach and a bigger audience there.
So what is your go-to wellness or self-care ritual or practice?
Oh, okay. So my go-to self-care ritual is meditation. Meditation and working out. I would say I notice a huge benefit to my overall being if I'm meditating regularly. And yeah, that's something I've meditating and journaling. I think I've been something that I've been doing very consistently over the last few years, and it makes such a big difference in how I feel mentally and emotionally. And then, of course, working out, I also feel a huge difference if I do or don't. So that's more so not even physically, but just mentally and emotionally. Again, I think it's such an important part of how we need to thrive as people.
For sure. I think you have to strengthen your physical muscles, but also your mental game, right? Like your mental muscle through meditation. And I think, with all the people that we've talked to so far, I think a lot of them also meditate and journal. So definitely see these modalities as really effective ones.
Yeah, I think there's so much that we go through in life that, I don't know, you don't have, if you don't give yourself a chance to reflect on it or take a break from it, you're not learning and able to adjust to be better moving forward. So I think that's what both of those things help me with, is pausing to reflect.
Do you ever write down things that kind of your manifestation wish list? Do you ever write them down, and have you noticed that writing them down actually kind of help you raise your vibration, and actually are you able to manifest those things when you do write them down?
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in manifestation boards, vision boards, being really explicit with what you want in your life, and I think that having those reminders and giving yourself those moments to sit in the feelings of what that will be like in the future are really, really powerful and help, like you said, your vibrations to have those things come to you.
I think dance too is a form of when you're moving your body, somehow it raises your vibration. I think it's the release of endorphins and I don't know, something happens.
You get in a trance.
Yeah, you do.
Out of body experience.
Yeah, when I dance, I almost feel like I'm invincible. I can do anything now.
I love that you mentioned that, because there is science behind it, and I will quote it terribly, but Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he talks about your different vibrations of different states of being, and I think dance is one of those things
for sure.
Because you're physically creating energy, you're also moving your body in ways that's very probably uncommon in your regular life. So I actually think you're releasing a lot from your body because of the unique ways that you're moving it that you probably don't access in day-to-day life. And so I think that helps. And then the power of music, and then the energy of the people around you, there's so many things that contribute to such a great experience, and dance I think is extremely powerful for that reason.
So many factors.
Yeah.
When you break it all down like that.
You asked me that question. I don't get to talk about that, and I love it.
No, I definitely I feel like sometimes I would even start crying when I'm dancing, and it's so weird. I'm I don't know where this is coming from, but it's kind of similar to Reiki healing, where I'm I don't know where this is coming from, but it's this energy kind of just wants to come out, and then I feel really good after. So it's weird. And I have experienced that, with different forms of exercise, like boxing or whatnot, but I don't know, for some reason with dance, it's something that's maybe it's you're moving your whole body, and you're moving to the beat of a music, and with the combination of all of that, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't get emotional when I box. So
maybe anger.
That's the only emotion. So what can we expect from Formation Studio in the years to come? Is there going to be plans for more expansion? I already talked about the digital part expanding, but anything else?
In the years to come, it's hard to know how it will take place at this point with all the shifts in our society and economy and whatnot. But I know that we're very good at creating community. We're very good at having people connect with themselves and with each other when they're with us, and making what seems very unapproachable, making it approachable. So I think no matter what way, no matter how things shift moving forward, those are things that we're going to continue to focus on and love doing and love bringing into people's lives. So yeah, I hope there is more growth. And when we conceptualized formation, it was all about the idea of growth, transforming yourself, transformation as a group, transformation as an individual. And for us, there were more pieces than just this one location, but we'll see what happens. And I'm excited and scared and all of the things that, all of the emotions thinking about the future, but yeah.
I love that.
I love that.
Building community, everybody will need that for sure.
For sure.
And it might look different moving forward too. Like, I don't know how, I think there will be shifts. I love the old days of everyone in our living room area chatting and getting to know each other and building those connections. And that might change moving forward, but yeah, I think that's an important part of living a healthy and well-balanced life and a fulfilled life. So that's something we want to contribute to the people that encounter us.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you guys. It was so nice to chat with you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Luna Nectar Universe with Mia and Diana. Get nectarized.